Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome. Welcome to Don't Fret Friday. Don't flip and freak out and fry your fantastic four figures on a frying pan Friday. Um, because that would be a terrible idea. That'd be a really bad one. Um, because
Totally.
figures aren't supposed to be fried in frying pans, but they're figurines. They're
Finger
plastic.
fry. It's a finger fry Friday.
Oh, ooh, welcome to Finger Fried Friday, the day where we fry our fingers.
Fish finger fry.
What's a fish finger?
It's like a chicken finger,
Fish,
but
fish,
uh, uh
fish are fins.
oh well. But chicken
What's a
don't have
chicken
fingers
finger? Fish
either.
have talons.
They do have fingers.
What's a potato finger? Is that even a thing?
That's a good thing. I've never, you know what? A
I
jalapeno does
bet you.
not have a popper attached to it either.
Oh man, these people who name foods,
I know.
they don't know their
I-
nouns properly.
And potato skins are far more than just the skin of the potato.
I know. In fact, most of the potato skin is not the potato skin.
It's right. It's the potato part.
Yeah, and then they put all this stuff on it that's not even like they should name it what it is, which is potato with the skin with some variation of sauces on top and likely
Yes.
sour cream. I mean,
And
that's what
bacon.
they should call it
And bacon.
with bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be the full name of that. I mean,
Yeah.
anything less would be incorrect. What are you eating? Potato skins? Wow, that sounds terrible. Like just the
Yes,
skin.
one of these. That is not a potato skin. That is so much more than a potato skin.
Mhm. Yeah. Could you imagine eating literal just potato skins? Just like you would need, in order to fill your body, like to eat a meal of potato skins, you would have to peel like 10 potatoes and just eat the skin of them.
Whoever figures out what to make with the potato skins, I mean, when you, because like, you ever
Yeah.
sit there and eat potatoes and then you're there with all the potato skins there in the trash,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, man, if somebody figured out what to do with those, I don't know if you could deep fry them and they'd,
Oh,
deep fry.
I bet you.
You know what? They're little strips. I bet you if you deep fried them in bacon grease, they'd taste like bacon, and they'd
Oh,
probably be like little strips. Like fake and
I
bacon
was
strips.
I was thinking maybe you could use them for like a noodle substitute. If you put them in strips, then you could fry them up like fried noodles, or just fry them up with like your traditional fried noodles. So like pepper and garlic and olive oil and whatever you want.
Yeah,
Uh, Oregano.
yeah. Oh, bake them in maple syrup. Oh, that'd be good
Baked
too.
potato skins and maple syrup. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's an idea for you. Then they would be sweet.
Hey
That
Ryan,
actually probably be good.
Jesse asked us, did you hit record?
No, I didn't even open the product. I didn't even open that up, dude. So honest.
I just did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, our producer is Jesse.
Yes. Thanks, Jay.
Everybody thank Jesse. He's keeping us on track here, which is good.
He's not doing a very good job. We've been on the topic of potatoes for a while.
That's on track though, man. Here we
Yeah,
are. It's the potato skin track we're on.
that's right. Don't worry about it. It's Friday.
Don't worry about it. Right, exactly.
Don't fret. Don't be fretting.
Don't be fretting. It's the potatoes.
Apparently, I had an error opening it, so I have to reopen it. I tried to open it twice at the same time, and it decided that it didn't want to do that.
Oh no.
Yeah, that happens sometimes,
It does. It
but
does.
it'll
How
be
are you
fixed.
tonight, Ryan? Besides amazing.
Um, darn it. Besides amazing, uh, well, good, awesome, fantastic, amazing with an apostrophe at the end. So it's different than amazing. How
Yeah.
about you doing besides fantastic?
Man, if I was any more fantastic than I
Oh,
actually
no, besides fantastic.
am, if I was anything else, I'd probably be twins.
What? What?
Because I'm so fantastic, if I was anything else, there'd be another one of me. And then
Ah,
the world would be messed up.
yeah, because you like messing it up.
Yeah. That's what I'm the best at.
That's what you're driving. I like it though. That's good.
Yeah.
Someone's got to mess it up, because if no one messes it up, then like that's not even what we're used to.
I know, man.
We're
It's
used
crazy.
to we're used to everything being messed up all the time. That's why we do Don't Worry Wednesday and Don't Freak Out Friday, because everything's messed up and someone's got to be here to fix it. Someone's got to be here to mess it up. So,
Right. And how good are you at fixing stuff if you've never had any experience fixing anything because you messed it up in the first place?
right. Well, you're terrible. I mean, just try to give a car and be like, yo, this is my car. Can you fix it? To a toddler. They're going to look at it and be like, what are you talking about, Dad? And they're going to go off and do their own thing. Like, they're not even going to try. Anyways.
Yeah, they're not going to do all well.
No.
I would not pay them a single penny to fix my car.
Not even a single penny to try?
Nope.
Okay.
I would not pay a toddler to fix my car, ever.
Mm-mm.
This is
actually, it takes a lot of muscle work to fix a car. Believe it or not, there's a lot of handling involved in lifting.
Is there?
You've fixed a car before. You know what it's like. There's a lot of physical activity going on in that.
There is.
So it looks like we've got something from Akil here. Just to start the show in the proper way. This is a Don't Worry Wednesday, Friday edition. The show where we talk about the issues people are going through on their daily basis or their week. Whatever's on their mind, whatever's got them concerned or worried. And we just talk about it. We give it our best shot to give some advice, or honestly, a lot of times just encourage people and let them know, like, hey, we're on your side. As any good friend would do. We're not professional psychologists or police officers or anything along that line, but we do our best to give our best based on our own experiences through life, telling you the things that we wish we would have heard when we were younger. So yeah, that's what I got for you. And so it looks like we can kind of jump into this. I'm not sure if Akil is done yet. It looks like he's got more. So let's see.
Yeah. Akil, if you want to just let us know when you are finished with your post, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And we shall put it
on the website. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm recording, and I just put a new battery in my mouse, which needed to happen.
For some reason, I thought you said mouth. And that's great. Because we actually were
another battery in my mouth because it wasn't going to work anyway.
Yeah, we were talking about acids and bases or alkalines or whatever before we started streaming. It was about an hour ago now, and we were trying to figure out if battery acid would be sour or bitter.
That's right. So, we did talk about that.
So when you said put a battery in my mouth, I just thought of that.
I had to do that.
I heard that too. Oh, you heard mouth as well? Perfect. I'm not the only one.
All right, Akil says he is done. So while you read it, I'm going to post it.
Perfect. All right. So this is this is the situation with Akil. Akil says, so I've been moving on with my life, but I woke up to a couple of friends distrusting me. They asked my help to find a person since I was close to her last night, and she was missing. But this kind of caught me off guard to know that her secret was told to a stranger. So there I was, being a prime suspect. Showed me how little they trusted me. It's resolved, but it kind of saddens me to know how little I meant. How asking for help only to get accused later. Okay. So it seems like um you were asked wait, they asked me to help. Okay, so you were asked to help find a person that was missing. Um but then throughout the scenario, um you figured out that they didn't trust you. And that's probably why they came to you asking, assuming that maybe you knew something. Okay. So there you were being the prime suspect. Yep.
Yeah.
um,
So is your question then how to deal with this, or do you have like a specific question regarding it?
I, sometimes it's just, it might not be a question. It's just something that they went through and could be on their head and bothering them. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that would bother me, right? That would bother anybody. But yeah,
Yeah.
the specific question attached to this. Are you, if you have a question to add on to it, that would be, I'm sure, helpful to direct the conversation thus forth.
Yeah, but my goodness, Akil, I'm sorry you got to deal with that. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's a really painful thing to go through. I definitely know when others don't trust me, I feel like, like the first thing I want to do is, try to show them that I'm trustworthy, because it's not a good feeling at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, since I read the question, I'll let you talk you talk first.
Oh, I'm going to talk first. That's right, because you read the question,
That's right, but you posted it, so I
which is
mean,
why your name comes first on the thing.
no.
So, oh, okay. So Akil has posted, "Hey, I need your help." Into why do you do this, or why'd you do this?
Why do
Um,
you?
yeah. So no, I think I get it. So that's crazy. I mean, it, it's almost like you were baited into it. It seems like, at least it can feel that way. Um,
Yeah.
because sometimes people need somebody to point a finger at, and so they will arrange the situation to kind of maneuver you into positions so then you can be the person to take the blame for something. I've had that happen to me before, and that is no fun.
Hmm.
I've also had uh, situations, like another thing where this could be like they sincerely were asking for your help, but then because of the way things transpired, it just appears that you were responsible in some way for this outcome, and that can be hard to deal with too. But it reminds me of some words I heard from it was a talk I heard about a guy named Mel Fisher. Have you guys ever heard of Mel Fisher before? He was a treasure hunter. I think back in the 70s.
The name sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, he was a treasure hunter. He was a treasure hunter in California, and then he moved to Florida, and he
Did
was
he? Where did he hunt for his treasures? All over the
off the
place?
coast. Yeah, but well, his big find was off the coast of Florida.
Okay, that's where I've heard him before. Okay, I was pretty sure I heard of the name before. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So his big find was the Nuestra Senora de Atocha. It was the biggest the biggest treasure ship ever found, right? But it took him years and years and years. I think 17 years it took
Oh
him
yeah.
of searching the ocean for this book, or for this boat.
For the book that he wrote.
But there was a moment in time where everybody, like, he would find some stuff and then the government would take it, or then competitors would come and try and, they'd try and take his stuff, or knock like destroy his boats that he was using to search for stuff. And so he'd have all these challenges along the way this whole time. And there was a quote from him as things were really, really bad, and a lot of people were quitting on him. He had a lot of friends and colleagues that just didn't trust him anymore, so they were leaving and saying, you know, this is just nuts. We're not doing this anymore. And he would say, he said to them, guys, as long as we know the truth, that's the most important thing that matters. And in this case, Akil, you know what happened here. You know your level of responsibility. You know that you are not the person that their accusations are false. You know this, and as long as you know the truth, that's the first thing that matters. That's the main thing that matters. Everything else, it's funny. The truth has a really, really strange way of coming to the surface. And sometimes it takes some time. But over time, the truth ends up coming out. I don't know if you've experienced that. I certainly have, especially, and it's worked in my favor and it's worked against me both, where I've been vindicated by some truth that came out. It came, you know, everybody thought I was a problem in a certain situation. And then eventually the truth comes out and I find out, oh, it wasn't his fault. Okay, so we don't have to worry about it. That doesn't erase all the problems that happened while they thought I was the person responsible. But in the end, there is a bit of vindication there where, you know, now I know that everybody knows that I didn't have a part in this. I've also had it work against me when I'm trying to hide something. I did something I wasn't supposed to be doing. And I try to hide it. I try to cover it up. I try to, you know, not tell people about it and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually the truth comes to the surface. And it's like, oh no, now everybody knows. Now everybody realizes that I'm the big turkey head. Everybody realizes I'm the one that put a battery in my mouth. And Akil says, continues, I'm just disappointed they didn't ask first. Yeah. Instead of, hey, do you know who leaked? Instead, it was why. So it sounds like rather than asking you your take on it, they automatically just went toward blaming you. So they didn't want to get to the bottom of the story. They just automatically made an assumption that you were the person who was at fault in whatever the things that transpired. So, man, that's a tough situation. But like I said before, you know what happened. You know the truth. And there's a level of confidence that you can have. If you realize that their trust has no foundation, that it's just an empty story, the thing they're thinking that leads them to not trust you, then you can relax a little bit and you can say, hey, this is what happened. I don't know why you guys are blaming me for this. I don't know why you guys are all of a sudden coming at me, but you know, I swear that this is the way it is. And I guess you can either believe it or not believe it. That's not up to me. It's never up to me to tell somebody what they should believe. People believe lies about me all the time. I have people close to me that believe lies about me all the time. There are people that have formed perceptions of me based upon some idea they made up in their head about me.
Yeah.
And now that affects their whole perception of me, the people that I am close to, everything. It just precipitates out from there. And it's such a sad thing because they're basing such a big part of their perception on one lie that they invented. And at some point, you look at them and you're just, man, I feel bad for them because their life could be so much better if they just would ask. Is this true? Or they think about it, logically go through the steps and look, this, how did you get from that point to this? I don't understand. Like, where did you get this idea from? And I don't know. It's just crazy. So, Akil, my thoughts are with you. Okay, so they backed off, but the one that leaked is still out there. She popped back up, so that's good. Okay, good. But so it sounds like you have to you got to find the person who's the real problem. So that's not good. That person's still out there. There's still some element of betrayal out there that you're not quite sure about. But good luck with that. And Jeff posted, a man of integrity expects to be believed, and if not, he will let time prove him right. Yes, that's exactly it. So as long as you know the truth, you are standing on something that's true. And it sounds like they backed off. So that's good. So now maybe you can work together with them to find the actual problem. And crazy thing is like I said before, the truth has a funny way of finding its way to the surface, sometimes in unexpected ways.
That's true.
It's really quite amazing. So I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna let Ryan take over. But yeah, best of luck through all this, Akil. I'm sorry. That's a tough one to crack.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think if it was me in that position, what I would do is two things. Whenever something like this happens to me, I realize I have two choices. I can try to fix it, or I can just forget it. Those are my two things. A lot of times people come to me with different situations. Some things I'm part of, some things I'm not. And there are many times where I just have to go, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to just let that be as it is and move on. Because it's not going to be worth my time trying to figure that one out. But sometimes, well, many times, if I'm involved or even if I'm not involved, there are many times people come to me about problems that I have nothing to do with, but I get involved and wrapped into it. Sometimes I choose to act on it. And by doing that, in this scenario, if I were you, I would just approach them and be like, hey, so I don't know like why you thought it was me, but obviously it's not. So, that kind of hurt my trust a little bit, it kind of felt like you guys don't trust me. Like, what's going on with that? Like, why'd you guys think it was me? Talking about that stuff to their face and actually walking through it with them, not accusing them to make them feel bad, but more so just having a good conversation with them. Throw it off like it's something of the past that's funny. Like, wow, I can't believe you guys thought it was me. That's funny. No, obviously I wasn't any part of that, but yeah, taking it and taking that kind of attitude towards it can do something interesting. It can change the way that they see you and increase their trust in you. As weird as that sounds, if you are distrusted and then prove trustworthy, their trust increases for you more than if they never distrusted you in the first place. Mm. Because just like when you test something and you find the results, you learn a lot more than if you weren't testing anything at all. If you are put through a test, you can grow, right? And if someone tests you to see if you're trustworthy, then they're looking to see if you are trustworthy. Or if they assume you're not trustworthy, and then they find out that they were wrong, it causes an internal mental shift that makes them go, oh, wow, I was wrong about that. This guy seems pretty cool. And then they have a really high perception of you, believe it or not. And I've done that to people, and I've been in that situation where other people have done that to me. So I think one of the best things you can do in this scenario is to gain their trust, is already done. You've proven that you're not the victim, but or sorry, you're not the culprit. You've proven you're not the culprit, and that should increase their trust in you. But bringing that issue up in a laughable way or a funny way or in a buddy buddy kind of way will put that forward in their head and make them think about it and make them go, yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry, we distrusted you. They might not say it out loud, but they'll think it in their head, and that will increase their trust in you for a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
For Jeff, I don't even speak French at all. Devrier? No.
Is that even French?
Yay. I don't know. I have no idea what language that is.
I'm not sure either.
I haven't a clue.
It's Russian.
Oh, see, I would have known Russian if all the letters were upside down and rotated 180 degrees.
Right.
They could have just done it like that.
But we don't have Russian characters on our keyboards.
Oh, sure. That's true. So anyhow, yeah. For me, I either drop it when something happens. If someone mistreats me, I either drop it or turn it into something that increases both party members, both teams, everybody. So like, forget it or forge it. Forge it or forget it. You could say that. Forge it or forget it. Is it a matter you can use to forge your relationships to create a stronger relationship, stronger amount of trust in each other? If you can, then take time to do that. If not, then just forget it. It's like, I'm not worried about it. That's in the past. For a lot of things, that's kind of how my attitude towards things. You said I kind of became cold to them after that. I guess I got defensive, waking up to, I'm going to kill you. Wow. They know how much we meant for each other. So it saddens me to think I would hurt her. This is bad. My old self is kind of gaining influence. Yeah. Yeah. And that would be terrible, right? Like, cause you really like this person and you love them, whatever. And then you have your friends who are accusing you of doing something terrible to them. Right. And that would make anybody defensive. That would make anybody go a bit mad inside, get angry and lash out, or just be hurt or weakened, or feel like, the whole world's against them. Right. Absolutely. That's totally relatable, man.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with feeling those things. Those are real, honest, true feelings. And that's good. But I think the question is, what are you going to do with that, and how are you going to move on? Right. And so you can pick your choice. You can either just forget and forgive and let that go and just be like, oh, well, they made a mistake. I was right. I wouldn't do those type of things. They don't know me. So whatever, or you can take the second route and forge it. You can use it to forge a stronger friendship. Taking that moment to do your best to participate in helping them find the solution to all of this, and rekindle your friendships with them. It's never good to be distrusted, but here's the thing, like, it could be that they distrusted you based on anything. It could have been the way that they perceived you for a long time now, or it could have just been this scenario. You could ask them that. You could say to them, hey, so have you thought I was really like that, the kind of person that would do this? Or is it just like all of a sudden you thought maybe it was me, and because of the circumstances? Because if you ask them that and they give you their honest opinion, then you know what will happen? Your mind will be able to easier let go of it. Because they might go, yeah, we kind of just like thought you were that kind of person, You'd be like, dude, I'm not that kind of person. And then that will be that, you know? Or if they go, it was just the current circumstance. It just seemed to like everything added up that it could have been you. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's rough, you know? I would never do something like that. And they're like, and they'd be like, yeah, sorry, you know, or whatever. They might get defensive too. Who knows? Because a lot of times when people realize they're wrong, they get defensive. So
Mhm.
who knows how that circumstance will work out? But one of the best ways to get over it um, is to just bring it up and talk about it and have an honest, calm conversation about it. In order to have a calm conversation, don't start with the topic. So if you ever want to talk about something that you need to kind of like um, that might be a bit heartful or like a tender subject, you know, the best thing you can do is start with a completely different topic, and then at some point through the conversation, and there's a calm conversation, bring up the question um, and talk about that after you've set the tone of the conversation beforehand. You know, you don't want to approach someone and say, "You did me wrong." You know, you want to approach this conversation like, "Hey, how's it going? Oh, good, good, good. Yeah. Did you watch any cool animes lately? You know? Oh yeah, yeah. Me too. Yeah, I really like that one. Or no, I haven't had time to watch any either, man. It's been so busy. By the
Mhm.
way, so like, what's up with the other day? Like, you thought I was the person who like was, you know, doing all these terrible things. Like, what was going on with that? Like, I wouldn't do that. Did you think that for a long time, or you know, whatever? Leading into a conversation, how you approach a conversation is really important. Uh, so, because how you start the conversation sets the tone for the entire conversation most of the time. So it's always important to have that kind of tactfulness. Um, yeah. You said, I know they are desperate. I don't want to blame them. Yeah, that's fair. But part of me was smiling, looking down on them as if they felt guilty of accusing me. That's fair. I think we all have that internal, uh, that internal bout. We all do that um,
Mhm.
from time to
That's a
time.
good. Yeah, that's completely normal. All the feelings that you've gone through as a result of this are completely normal as natural responses to this type of
Mhm.
situation.
I'm actually just impressed that you notice. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people they will have that, you know, like you said, um, they'll have that grin, that smile, that smirk. You know, like, hey, I'm better than these guys. I don't accuse people of being villains when they're not villains, like or whatever. You know, people have that within them. Everybody does. Um, and I'm just glad that you realized and saw yourself doing it because that gives you the ability to change and correct yourself. Most people just go with it and they're like, yeah, that's right. All these people are terrible and I'm better than them and they're stupid. Like I used to do that all the time.
Mm.
But then I started to notice myself. And when I started to notice myself, I started to realize, hey, some of this is wrong and some of this is right. And I need to pick and choose. So honestly, Akil, you're in a great position. And it's
Mhm.
awesome that you're noticing these things. We all experience those things for
Mhm.
sure.
Yep. But like
Seriously.
Ryan was getting at before, I think one of the main key things to remember is, how do you move forward from this incident? And
Hmm.
like you said here at Kill, so I kind of agreed to help them, but want to walk away after it's truly resolved. That would be a fine thing to do as well.
Hmm.
Um, and but who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe going through this experience will strengthen a bond between you as friends. Sometimes that's what brings friendships closer together is when there's some kind of a conflict that then you can resolve. And it actually, like Ryan was talking about earlier, it can lead to a higher level of trust. What came from distrust, and then they realize, oh, I was wrong for distrusting you. Now my trust in you is actually stronger than it ever has been.
Hmm.
And if you can go through this situation as you move forward, it's for don't ever forget. It might take some time to do this, Akil, but don't forget that the pathway for your healing of this situation is to forgive them.
Hmm.
Don't forget that. So I mean, I know it might be hard to do now, And it might be what all this is fresh and it's still going on and everything. But eventually, in order for you to heal and move forward and to relieve yourself of all this and to be free of it, it's going to require you to forgive them. So the sooner you can work toward that, the better these things are all going to go. And if you can work toward it while you're going through this situation with them, then it might actually strengthen the bond. You might have some really powerful allies as a result of this situation.
Yeah, that's true. I think the first step in going forward and through this is if you just approach this with a sense of forgiveness. Be like, oh, well, they were wrong. And that's that. And that's okay. And I don't hate them. I'm just, that's unfortunate they guessed wrong, and that it happened to be me. But, that's over now. Now they know it wasn't me. So now that's clear. We're in the clear. Like, there's no reason to continue to despise them or dislike them or distrust them just because they accused you. Now that they know the truth, everything's solved in that area. So I think forgiveness is the first step forward in order to have an honest conversation with them, or at least an honest conversation. If you haven't yet forgiven them, the honest conversation with them will help you in your forgiveness of them and their forgiveness of you.
Yes.
Or honestly, their forgiveness of themselves. So if you haven't forgiven them already, have a conversation with them and talk it out. And then it'll probably be a lot easier for you to forgive them. And then once you've forgiven, everything just moves forward. Because here's the thing. The act of forgiveness is to destroy a debt owed, right? So if someone wrongs you, for example, if I took your money, then I would have to give that money back to you to make up for it. Well, I'd probably have to give more than I took to make up for it.
You would.
Yeah. Yeah, you would give me my money.
Give my money 18%.
That's right, 18% or higher. So anyways, so when it comes to something like this, they wronged you. They accused you of something you didn't do. So now they owe you what? The opposite of that. They owe you trust, you could say. I don't know. But it's something that you forgive. If you forgive them, then you no longer care what they pay you back. Because they're probably not going to pay you back anyways. But maybe they will. But if you forgive that, they don't have to concern themselves over what am I going to pay him back with, How can I undo my wrong? So that's the problem, is you can't undo a wrong. You can't, it's just not a thing. It's impossible.
Right.
You can't undo a wrong. It's happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if you forgive someone, then the person who forgave them no longer cares about the wrong. And that allows you to move forward. So in this scenario, if they accuse you of doing wrong and you just pass it off and you say, well, it doesn't matter. They did wrong, but you know what? I'm not going to hold it against them. And I'm just going to let everybody live their lives and hopefully be happy. Then you're no longer frustrated over the issue. You're no longer frustrated over the issue, and they no longer have to be frustrated with themselves over the issue. So forgiveness is super crucial in this type of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm just worried how some things could wake the other me up. Okay, fair enough. I think you're doing a great job because you're conscious of your wrongs and your rights. You're conscious of your thought patterns and why you're doing certain things and why you're not doing certain things. You're conscious of your emotions and your reasoning and all that kind of stuff. And so if you just keep that up and always do your best to choose the right option, I don't think you have to worry too much about that sort of thing.
Sure. Like Ryan said, the very fact that you're reflecting on these things, on your own responses and your actions and how these types of things tend to make you move in the direction of a negative response, just the very fact that you're reflecting on all these things is a huge step ahead of most of the rest of the world of people. Most
Sure.
people are just loose cannons, man. I tell you, I'm out there among other people all day long, and most people are just react to stuff that happens around them. They don't even think about it. They don't think about their own responses. They don't think about, oh, this is making me respond this way. I should check myself here.
Right.
No, people normally don't think that way, and it causes a lot of hurt in the world. I mean, you're kind of a victim of that right now, because your friend, rather than thinking about, oh, I'm feeling tense about this situation, I should think through this. Instead, they just came out guns ablazing, like, whoa, I'm going to kill you. Like that's how most of the world is. They don't think about their response. They don't think about how they're going through things. They don't process this. And the very fact that you're doing it, like Ryan said, that puts you at such a higher level of introspection that you will be able to keep yourself in check for a lot longer, and you'll be able to think logically through things calmly and make better decisions the more you do that. So I would encourage you to continue that. Now there does come a point, I don't think we're to this point yet, but there does come a point when you spend too much time thinking and then not acting. We can fall into that trap where we're just deliberating and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and never taking any action. That can happen too. But I don't think you're to that point. I don't know if in your situation you can afford to get to that point. I don't know.
Yeah, you said you're worried that you're not fast enough to hesitate. Or you said, that's why I'm worried. I'm not fast enough to hesitate. Now, that's something that is something that you'll improve at. The more you continue to reflect on your thoughts, the faster. And here's the thing: when you reflect on a thought, or your internal thoughts or your internal emotions, and you reflect on it, even if the scenario is completely done with, right, and you've already messed up or you've already done the right thing, whatever it is, right? You think about your thoughts, and then you take an action after that. That action creates a subconscious habit to how you'll respond later. So if someone, okay, I'm just going to throw an example out here. If someone calls me stupid, right, I might have a really fast reaction, or maybe I'll hesitate. I don't know. Maybe I'll hesitate, but maybe I'll just have a reaction, right? Okay, here's the thing. If in the past someone called me stupid and then I hesitated or reacted late, whatever, and chose the right option, I've created a habit so that now anytime someone calls me stupid, my first reaction is the one I want. So every time you have these internal thoughts, you're creating habits. You're creating who you are. You're creating these habits of how you react. So someone calls me stupid, I just instantly react a certain way. If someone approaches me really looking kind of dangerous, I just have an instant reaction based on the habits I've trained in myself. It's not that I take time to hesitate. It's that I took time to hesitate sometimes in the past. It's not that when someone insults me or something bad happens that I took time to hesitate every time. It's that I thought about it after it happened a few times. And those thoughts helped to program a habit of how I'm going to react in the future. So what you're doing now is you're taking the time to think about yourself and say, this is what I don't want to become. This is what I do want to become. Now in the future, when something happens to you, your first reaction eventually become the person doing your first reaction will be the reaction that you want. I've had people when I was working the same job that Joe has now, I had people approach me in the field and be really, really hostile. Right. And then my natural reaction was to stay calm and to talk it out with them and to just kind of help them be calm, instead of fighting back or erupting or getting scared and running away or whatever. Any of those things could have happened. But I know that my reaction to them as being calm was something that I programmed in myself by thinking about how should I react, about when things did erupt in my life before and I reacted bad, but then thought about it later and said, oh, I shouldn't have done that. My natural reaction was actually created by my thought patterns after my bad reactions a lot of the times in the past. So, so even if you don't hesitate every single time a bad thing happens, if you reflect on it, you're going to be creating habits for the future so that when so that your first reaction to something is a good reaction, as opposed to a bad reaction. I was struggling trying to figure out how to say that, but I think you get what I'm saying. I hope you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, and some of the stuff that you're going to learn at your best first reactions and stuff like that, some of that you're going to learn through trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you're just going to have to try it a certain way, see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, then we say, well, let's try it a different way next time. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the joy, the beauty of the profession that Ryan had, the one I have as a property inspector, is you get faced with a lot of situations like that. So you have many opportunities to try many different responses.
Yeah.
You have opportunity, so you can try a whole bunch of things really quickly and see what works and what doesn't work and figure that out. But I just read this the other day. Oh, I hope so. I pulled the trigger often lately, getting used to it. Okay. This is an analogy for business, but I was just reading this business author, and he says you'll learn more and earn more by acting on fast decisions. So make your decisions quickly and act on it. Even if you fail, than you will ever will by getting sucked into the hole of overthinking. So if you get trapped in the overthinking, then you're not going to have as much feedback in order to figure out what the right way to go is. We've heard different personalities. Haley mentioned, can it depend on what kind of mental state you're in at the time? Absolutely depend on that. And it can depend on what kind of personality you are as well. Some personality types, my natural one, you talked about pulling the trigger. So let's use firing a weapon. My natural tendency is to go ready, aim, 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 and just continue to aim and never fire. Just aim, right? Some people are like this analogy that I just read the other day when he was in artillery. We did a test fire. So we fired the weapon to see where it was going to go. And then we fired it again to adjust it. And then as soon as we figured out the right target, we just fired over and over and over and over and over again. So in order to aim, they fired. Just specifically to aim, right? So
yeah. So it's like ready, fire,
fire,
aim,
and then fire,
aim, fire, 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 fire.
Yes. So
yeah,
there is value in taking some time to think through a situation, but sometimes, like in this case, it sounds to me like you were just presented with this choice immediately. You had to make a quick decision and decide, boom, how am I going to react to this? And like Ryan said, a lot of times your first reaction is going to be that's your natural one. You just automatically boom, and you can change that over time. But it takes exactly what you're doing now, Akil, which is reflecting on the situation. You're looking back on it and saying, okay, how can this be handled differently next time? Did I handle it as good as it could have been handled? Maybe you did. with the events that transpired, there may have been no other way you possibly could have handled it. And now that this portion of it is over, you can look back and you can say, all right, now you can do the adjust fire where you're the aiming fire, and get through that. But, there's a lot of value in taking action, and sometimes you need to. I know that I look up to people that are the action takers. I work really, really hard, but I'm not always the first to take action on things. And I always admire people who are willing to just, let's try it. Let's go and try it. Hey, whatever. I've got a little bit of information. Let's just go. As opposed to my natural tendency, which is, well, let's read about it and figure it out and think about it and delay and analyze and stuff. And then 6 months later, I'm still thinking about it. We don't always have that luxury. And sounds to me like I have to extend congratulations to you, Akil, because you've moved through a situation and you've gotten feedback and you're taking a look at it. It's almost like graduating to a new level, because you went through this experience. You went through it, you handled it, and now you're looking back and saying, this is all personal growth. And the very fact that you're doing it tells me a little bit of something about the man that you are becoming. And it sounds like it's going to be a man of incredible stature, a very respectable person. So I applaud you, Akil, and I really thank you for sharing. Hopefully some of our discussions has helped. But Ryan, do you have anything else to kind of tie this all together?
Yeah, well, I really like what you said about the business principle. There are many successful business people that their plan is basically just do something. Go try something, mess it up. Try something and mess it up, and try something and mess it up, and eventually something will work. Now, of course, it's important to be able to try something, mess it up, and analyze, and then try something again based on that. That's really the best principle you have. But yeah, so like if you are worried about reacting too fast, you learn from those reactions. I remember I encountered again in this field that Joe is working in and I used to work in, dealing with dogs. I remember getting chased to a degree by some attack dog, and then it was because of that it came to my mind, okay, how do I want to react in that position? Like, so, some attack dogs came at my car and they started like biting the tires and stuff. And then, so I just drove away, right? But then it caused me to think about what happens when I'm out of my car and attack dogs come at me. What do I do? What should I do? And so because of this instance that I just got presented with, it made me think about dogs and made me think, how do I handle a dog? How do I wrestle a dog? How do I do this? And so I'm running through it mentally after it's already happened. I'm running through it mentally, right? And then later on, a couple of months later, all of a sudden, I'm out of my car and 2 attack dogs charge at me. And I remember in that instant, I just naturally reacted based on the thoughts that I had prior, based on the little mental training that I had, which was, I realized that dogs listen to commands because dogs are trained by commands. So as soon as they started to charge, they got close. I just yelled at them and said, "No, sit, bad dog," and both of them cowered in fear, tucked their tails and sat on the ground. And they were attack dogs trained to attack because I was on property that, wasn't mine. And so, but they listened because they were trained to do that. And I had trained myself to do that just by thinking about it after I had already been through a situation similar. So it's important to recollect off of your thoughts. And so don't be too afraid of taking an action and then regretting it later, because that's what teaches us.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid of taking an action and regretting it later, because that's honestly the best way to learn. So if you're afraid, like, oh no, what if I, just slip up and say something bad or whatever, then oh well, now you can learn from it and you can get better, you can get stronger. It's better to take an action a lot of times and then learn from it later than to be than to not take any action at all and not learn anything. You know,
Right.
that's a lot of times what happens to people who think a lot like me and Joe. Something will come an opportunity, or maybe uh, whatever it is, maybe just someone coming at our face or whatever, and we just choose to sit there. And because we chose to sit there, we didn't take any action at all, and then we never learned anything because we never went through the experience.
Hmm.
Um, whether the experience would have been us doing something bad or good, we don't know. We just didn't choose. We just chose not to act at all, and so we
Right.
didn't learn. We didn't improve anything. We didn't increase anybody's existence in that way. So don't be
Right.
afraid to mess things up. We all mess things up. That's
We
okay,
do.
Akil. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to mess things up. That's what a lot of great businessmen do. They just mess things up until they get somewhere that's great. Um,
A
so
great example, of that we're talking about right now is a gentleman named Steve Nichols. He's actually on staff here at BSS, and you're probably going to get to hear a lot more of his stuff in the near future,
hmm.
um, as he moves forward. But I tell you, that's he he's that type of person where he takes action immediately, and it shows. I've known the guy for almost 15 years now. And ever since I've known him, he finds his way to the top of whatever game he is playing very quickly. Like in a matter of months, he will go from getting started in something to the best at it, or at least the highest levels in a very short period of time. And it's because of that, what Ryan was just explaining. He takes action, he analyzes mistakes, but he doesn't take too long to sit there and think about it before he takes action again. And he just takes action after action after action after action and makes small adjustments in between to get to the point where he's now, now it's all clicking.
I don't think he's afraid of messing it up, because we all do. You
Oh,
take an action,
absolutely.
it's wrong, and you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't what I needed to do. Let me try this thing. And that's just how it is. So if you react to something, someone calls you an idiot and you react terribly, then that's normal. You just be like, oh, well, that was the wrong response. I'll try again this time. You
Yep.
know?
Yeah, he doesn't spend a
That's
lot
all
of
it is.
time thinking about his mistake and like, oh, I made a mistake. Oh no, 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 no. He's just like, nope, I messed up. Big deal. Let's go try again. Try
Yeah.
again. Try again. Try again. Try again.
And
And
I catch myself getting caught in that loop of like, oh no, I messed up. Oh no, I messed up. Oh man, that felt so bad the way I messed up. Oh man. And that feeling of messing up, it was just terrible. And
I
then
know.
when I felt that feeling, it just made me feel even worse, because now I feel it's just terrible. Everything's
Yeah.
terrible.
And
Like,
now I'm not even doing anything about it. Now I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and that's terrible.
and that's
And
terrible. Why am I doing this? But I'm
oh
not
my
going to
gosh,
do
it's
anything
just
about
all kinds of
it.
terrible, like all terrible all over the place. Just yeah.
Yeah. So don't do
And
that.
that's right. So yeah, Akil, wow, thank you. That was a tremendous thing to share. And
Yes, Haley, that's true. The best people will love you with all your mistakes. Absolutely.
that's how we all should be, really.
Hmm.
We should love unconditionally.
I'm getting bullied. Yeah, Akil, you think about your thoughts. You think about a lot of things. You think about your thoughts. That's good. Anyways, and that's good. But it shows me that you are probably like us. You think about stuff a lot and you contemplate, and you don't take action a whole lot. Um, well, that's what it could be, your personality. If that is, then you know where you need to improve, and it's okay to react. Just understand that it's okay to make a reaction and it be the wrong one, or because sometimes it can be the right one. But if it's the wrong one, then oh well. Like,
Mhm.
just you made a mistake. Oh no, we all do that. So
Yep. And Haley says paper is terrible.
Oh, it is terrible. It's paper porn.
That's awesome.
That's great. And paper is just terrible.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that Joe is here? Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Welcome. Joe. How you doing?
Welcome to Joe. So he's here, and I think his is next.
Let's do it. What do you do when you can't keep up? Is that it?
I think so. I think that's the one.
All right. Question again. I'm falling behind. I really want to answer the questions that everyone has because I care for all of these wonderful people. But I also need to eat and sleep and pay for bills. So, long story short, how do I make it happen? Or should I even?
Joe, hopefully this is some good stuff for your drive home.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say something about this question. So Joe says he's falling behind. He wants to answer the questions, but he's also got things he's got to do. You know, like eat and sleep and pay bills.
Yeah.
So how do I make it happen? And you know what I'm gonna say, Joe? I actually haven't made this reference in a long time, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it again. I mean, there's this great book I got. It's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And sooner or later, I'm going to say it enough, and he's going to send me money.
We'll say about that.
But
I'm promoting your book, so some money would be nice. No,
money would be nice. But actually, I think one of the keys is just priorities. You know, and prioritize what you're doing. There is a time for unwinding. There's a time for I mean, a lot of us here enjoy watching anime, but it can definitely suck a lot of your time out of your day if you're not careful. So sometimes you have to limit the time for entertainment, even though some people go so far as to say, don't ever entertain yourself, never, ever, ever, never, never. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because you need to take a break sometimes, and you need to let yourself unwind a little bit and just, but then you also need to know when to shut that off and get back to work. So there are different apps. I remember downloading an app on my phone. It was basically a timer app, and I could put in all the different things that I was doing in a day, and then I could just click the timer to start it when I started that task, and then click it to turn it off when I stopped doing that task. And then it arranged it in a graph so I could look at what my amount of time I was spending each day doing. So it would make a pie chart, right? And it'd have like work was like big, huge,
yeah,
enormous thing. Sleep was like that.
I thought it was like this.
Beep. It was tiny. And then there was one of the things that it helped me do was it helped me get more efficient in my office work, because in my line of work as an inspector, I have time out in the field where I'm actually doing the work out of the field, and then I have to process everything in the office too. So it helped me to figure out a way to be more effective in the office. And then also, over time, it helped me be more effective on each stop. So now I can stop in front of a house and be gone within 5 seconds in a lot of cases. And people are like, I had a client one time tell me, he's like, I know, Joe, I know you want to be gone in a minute from that place. You want to spend a minute in front of that house. I'm like, dude, I want to be gone in under 10 seconds. I don't want to stand here at this place waiting for someone to come out and yell at me. I want to be in front of the house, get my information, and then gone, like quickly. So some of it's just like what we were talking about earlier, where it's analyzing what you're doing, analyze how much time it takes you to do a certain thing, and see if there's a more efficient way to do something, right? And then from there, that can kind of be a constant growth for you. But before you start that process, because that process can go on, and you can do that for the rest of your life and just continually improve and get better and better and better. And that's awesome to be on that track of personal improvement. But I would figure out some priorities. You got to eat, you got to pay your bills, you got to sleep some. A lot of times we don't need as much sleep as we think we need. Sometimes we need more than we think we need.
Yep.
And if you, incidentally, if you're in school, if you're a teenager, because of the changes that our bodies go through as teenagers, we definitely need more sleep then, because our bodies are growing and changing and doing all kinds of stuff. And so just the physical aspect of that requires more rest. So don't skimp on the sleep. But once you're in your career, you're an adult, you're all that, you might be able to do some experimenting, but take great care in doing that. And I'm not a doctor, so you might want to consult a doctor before trying any type of sleep deprivation experimentation. So the thing I was getting at, though, is set some priorities. And is there a way? So once you have your priorities set, then say, okay, these are my top priorities. I want to get this done. I want to get this done. I want to do this. Now, when you look at those tasks, is there a way for you to do them faster? Is there wasted time and energy in that task that you're doing? Is there time you're spending just not really being productive, and you could get rid of some of that type of time and then just get down to the business? Or is there extra stuff? Can you kind of reduce that so you can make it more effective? A great book to help with that type of thing, obviously, I already mentioned The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. That helps, but that gets you your morning routine, and that helps you with your personal development and your personal growth stuff. One thing that helps, that helped open my eyes to ways of being more effective in what I was doing, was a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Work Week. You can get an audio book. I know you've got a lot of drive time, Joe, sometimes back and forth. I listen to books on Audible a lot of times because I spend a lot of time in my car. So I have an Audible account through Amazon, and I have a whole bunch of these books, and I just listen to them. But you could do that to and from work. I don't know if you can listen while you're at work. That could be a possibility too. But some of these things you could do while you're there. But that's a really good one to help you figure out what's actually necessary in these things I'm doing. Is there stuff that I'm doing that's just wasted time? Are there things that I'm doing that are wasted tasks? They're just meaningless tasks that don't really move anything forward. It's just perpetuating this nonsense, right? Once you can start to filter through some of that, then you can really start to reduce the amount of time on each one of those tasks, and it will free up more time for important things like answering people's questions, because really that's what we're here for. So anyway, oh yeah, Jeff Mosier, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. That's a great one for prioritization and deciding which tasks you're going to do first. That's a great book, Eat That Frog, for figuring that out. But I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and he's going to say something really, really good.
Yes. I've got some really good stuff here. Listen to what Joe said again, because he knows what he's talking about more than I do. That's the really good thing I'm going to say. Now the rest is going to be just kind of not as good, so brace yourself. One thing I remember, this is kind of interesting. I remember thinking there's not enough time in the day. There's just simply not enough time in the day. I simply just don't have enough time. And then I talked to somebody and, I was saying this like, man, time is tough. You just don't have enough of it. Don't have enough time in a day.
Mhm.
And they said, that's wrong. Your thinking is wrong. You have exactly as much time as you need. And I was like, huh. Because if my perception is I don't have enough time in the day, then I'm worried about getting stuff done. And that changes my attitude. That changes my attitude about everything that I'm doing throughout the day. And that makes everything feel like it's not getting done. It's too stressful. And I'm not working as good and so on because my attitude is off. But if I feel like I have all the time that I need to do this and I can get it done and I keep my attitude high, then I'm not going to be so stressed about getting everything done. And it's a lot easier for me in that kind of position to figure out and use my mind to figure out what I need to be doing. If I'm stressed out, my brain is not going to be functioning at as reasonably at a high level, and it's not going to be doing the things that I need to do with excitement, with joy, right? Because everything we get to do throughout the day, we should be joyful that we get to do it. Yes, I know work can be annoying sometimes, but be thankful that you have work and to spend time doing that work and learning how to enjoy it is part of what you're supposed to be doing as a human being. Joe, I know that you are a Christian, so I'll say this to you. God put us here on earth, and he wants us to be joyful with what we have. And we have gifts from him, right? And we're doing what we're doing. It's better to be joyful than stressed. So if you are under the perception that you don't have enough time in the day and that's stressing you out, then what you need to do is perhaps not add more to your plate, not give time away, but change your perception on it. Because then when you act out those things, you are your mind is in the right place doing those things. And your attitude towards people when you're doing those things is going to be right. Because if you're stressed out and you're like, I don't have enough time, and you're being really busy. I've seen, for example, this is a great example. I'm sure many of you have experienced this. Like any holiday ever, and the person cooking does not have enough time to cook whatever they're cooking, right? And they're supposed to be enjoying themselves. It's a holiday. They're supposed to be kind of communicating with people, but they're stressed out because they got to have dinner by 5 o'clock and everything's got to be ready. And everybody else that's sitting there, not able to help, is looking at them going, just slow down, take it easy. Like, it's okay if it's not at 5, just enjoy yourself. Like, slow down. It's okay. Like, please, because right now you're just being stressed and you're making everybody else around you stressed out. Mm-hmm. And no one here is having fun. No one here is enjoying themselves. And so you're doing the opposite. It's not about the food. It's not about how you can get the task done. It's about who you are and how we get to enjoy you. So that as an example, make sure that your attitude is in the right place whenever you're too busy. Also, remember, it's okay to say no. You get to pick your life. You don't get to pick your life, but you get to pick some choices in your life. You get to pick your tasks. And sometimes people will ask you stuff and it's okay to say no. Just say, sorry, I can't. I am too busy. I had to learn to do that myself because I hate saying no. I hate saying no to people who are asking me like, hey, can we do a collaboration? Or can you do this for me? Or whatever it is. I hate saying no because I want to do it all. I do, but I know that I can't. And so I have to tell them, no, how about you get back to me, in a couple of months and we'll see if we can, work then, or something along those lines. It's okay to say no. Because you have to pick, you in life, you have an unlimited amount of opportunities, of chances to say yes to all sorts of different things. But it's important to prioritize and remember what's the main thing of my life and what things drive that goal. What things can I say yes to are actually meaningful and helpful to the world and to myself, those around me, etc. And what things can I say yes to that don't really have that effect? And how can I say no to them? It's an important thing to try to test the waters at. It's not easy, saying no, but it's definitely necessary. We have to tell ourselves no all the time, when we're confronted with something like, should I do something bad right now? No, I shouldn't. That's pretty normal. And so sometimes there are a lot of good things, but we have to sacrifice something good to achieve something great. And sometimes we have to sacrifice something great to achieve something even greater. There are a lot of good things. There are a lot of great things. It's not, maybe you're helping out at a food, what do they call that? A soup kitchen? Anyways, where they give food to the poor.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, soup kitchen.
Yeah, okay. And that's a really, really good thing. But there could be something else that you are supposed to be doing that only you can do that's even better or greater. And you might have to make that sacrifice because you know that there are other people that are going to be there at that soup kitchen. And maybe it'll be stressing them out if you're not there. But there might be another thing that you're supposed to be doing that's even, I'm not going to say even better, but it's something that you are supposed to be doing. That is great. So while, again, like a soup kitchen, how can you top that? Like, that's so nice, giving to the poor, etc. Well, there are many things in this world that need change and to become better. And sure, I mean, that's a really big thing. People are poor, but there are also a lot of people who aren't poor, who are spiritually poor, who are mentally poor, who hate themselves. And that's something that you can do. If you can help those people, then that's just as good. In fact, if that's your position in life and that's what you're supposed to be doing, then that's even better. We all have different things we have to choose from. Sometimes there are many good things, and sometimes we have to choose to say no to good things. And it's, yeah. So one thing, again, it's okay to say no. And two, prioritize, figure out what's the main thing for you. What are the main things? And serve those. And then three, you have enough time. You have enough time to do everything you're supposed to do. And if you don't, then you have something you're not supposed to be doing. All right. So you have enough time. God's given you enough time. Don't ever say, I don't have enough time to anything else. Because you always have enough time for those things that matters. You have been provided that time. So don't say that, because that'll get you in a bad attitude. That'll get you feeling stressed out. And that's not going to improve the things that really matter. And it will also make your body strained out and give you worry, and all sorts of different stuff comes with stress. I think we all know that. So, and that's why we do Don't Worry Wednesday. So yeah, attitude, perception, that's a lot of life. A lot of life in living life is just, how are you going to perceive this? And I think it's important to just understand you have enough time. Don't say, I don't have enough time when it comes to things that are important, because again, your attitude will be lacking in this, with that kind of attitude or with that kind of perception. So those are my pointers.
Well, we all have the same amount of time in a day. Everybody, you, me, Bill Gates.
Really?
Jeff,
they all have 25.3 hours?
Yep, exactly. We all have that. So
That's what I do. I don't know about your guys' day, but sometimes like the sun rises during like the night. It's weird for me. I don't understand. No.
Yep. No, hopefully that's helpful for you, Joe. And yeah, that's I love what Ryan was talking about. That, you know, if you can, if that whole time issue and stress and the very fact, like some part of your question felt like you might be getting a little bit stressed about this situation, and that's where, like Ryan was talking about, a lot of things can get done if you're a praying person, as I know you are. Turn a lot over in prayer. I can clarify things like you would not believe.
Yeah, it really clears the mind and sets you up for spending your time more actively getting things done correctly. Because you have a peaceful mind and you're not stressed over. Yeah, your mind doesn't do so many loops, and yeah, it really does help.
Mm-hmm. Even when people, even people who don't pray, when they spend time in silence, just meditating, that clears things up as well. But I've tried both, just clear-headed meditation and prayer. I find prayer to be far more effective in clearing things up and getting my head on track and stuff like that. So you are shiny. You have a bigger head than me today, Ryan.
You'll have a bigger head than me today. I only have a nose and a mouth and a jawline with some hair on it. Look how bright my see? Like this whole side of my head is just super shiny.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this.
Watch this. Oh, well, bam.
Ah, dang. Dang.
I am so shiny. You can't even see the detail except for this one
shiny, happy people.
Wow, I'm a magician. Magic. Nothing. Bam. Look at that. Look.
Wow.
Watch this. It's there.
Wow.
Gone. Bam. Simple as that. No need for a photo booth. I can get rid of wrinkles just that easy. Look at that. That wrinkle's there. Bam. It's gone. Well, how did he do that?
Wait, I don't know.
Moved? No, that's not what happened.
I don't even know.
As I knock my mic into.
I'm so confused.
There we go.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you, Joe. Hopefully some of that was good. But we did have one from Haley. Haley, are you still here listening?
Yeah, I think she's still here. She commented not too long ago.
She did comment not too long ago. But she's kind of been here and
in and out.
Oh, yep, she's here. Yay. So Haley asks a question. I'm going to ask it, and you can answer it first this time, Ryan.
Okay. I'm sorry. Are you the host? Okay.
I'm taking it. I'm going to be it.
Okay, go for it.
You've asked the last two, so it's my turn.
You know what, Joe? I'm going to be the host, but I'm going to say that you say it, and then I'm going to answer the question this time. That way I get to make the decisions around here.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're the guy in the top square.
Yeah, I need to take responsibility as the host for making any suggestions. So if you have a suggestion, just put it through to me and I'll make that same suggestion so that I can take responsibility for it. Okay?
Okay, perfect. All right. Perfect. Because you're all like top bunk and stuff.
Yeah, that way if it's a bad idea, then it'll be my fault and not your fault. You don't have to worry about it. You can say, oh, that was what he said. I didn't say that. Yeah. So
that's right. He actually told me to say it just like that, and I said it
with your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm mainly a puppet.
That's why you're down below, and I'm controlling.
That's right.
I've got strings. Watch me lift his arm up. Yeah. See. That was actually pretty good. Yeah, that's beautiful. Have you done?
Okay. What's that?
Have you trained to be a puppet? You're good. You're like too good, man.
You're gonna be the puppet. Thanks.
I went to puppet class.
Well, Haley, thank you for posting. And Haley posted the question: how do you stop self-suppression? And I asked for some clarification. Akil actually clarified a little bit, but maybe Ryan, you know this stuff. But how do you stop self-suppression? I imagine it's like burying and bottling up your feelings. Is that kind of the idea that you're talking about here?
Yeah, some clarification would definitely help. Self-suppression. I assume, okay, so what can you suppress from yourself? It could be many things because you can suppress your jokes, your funny things you have to say out loud. Or you could suppress your feelings, you could suppress your activities, you know, all sorts of different stuff. You could be afraid of actually getting out there and just doing. You could mean the whole of it, just in general. So some clarification might help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm guessing it means like suppressing your feelings, suppressing thoughts, feelings, emotions, wants, desires. So how do you stop doing that?
Okay. Honestly, I'm sure you've heard my story before about how I went from failure to success, and no, how. Sorry, book titles. So, I was extremely self-suppressive in every type of way, for because I was always worried about what other people thought of me. And that was the case for many, many, many years. Probably most of my life, I was that way. Because, yeah, I was afraid what people would think about me if I put it out there. Because what other people thought of me apparently really mattered a lot to me. And the way I thought of myself was somewhat dependent upon how other people thought of me. If other people didn't like me, then I would feel hurt, you know? And I wanted everybody to like me, but I wasn't necessarily so strong in that I was willing to put myself out there to be judged and liked. I just kind of wanted to be invisible, if you will. And so I would suppress all things, my thoughts, my feelings, emotions, everything. So what I did was I encountered a version of myself while online. While I was online, I didn't have that sort of self-suppression. I didn't suppress these type of thoughts. I didn't suppress the things I wanted to say out loud. Because I don't know, it just felt easier online because I didn't feel like anyone was judging me. I didn't know these people a lot of times. Or I knew them, but I came to know them through acting a certain way, or I wasn't necessarily suppressing all of my thoughts and actions and so on. And because I came to know them that way, it wasn't weird or awkward for me to be outgoing in those types of categories, to be silly and so on, to be silly in public, to let myself go and not worry so much. I still worried about what they thought about me, of course, but I wasn't, it was more comfortable for me online. So, I saw myself as that online. And then in real life or outside of the online realm, like for example, at school or with my family, etc. I noticed they were two very different people. And in my real life, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I had a couple, but not a whole lot of friends. I didn't talk much, and I didn't really like that about me. But I really like this online person. So what I did is I started to force myself to do the things that my online self would do while in real life and in public at school or with the family or whatever, I started to force myself to do those things, even though it was really uncomfortable. And what I found was that people started to like me. Uh, all of a sudden, I started getting new friends. In fact, so much so that we kind of me and my group of friends kind of became popular. We had tons and tons of people that were in our group. And just by the nature of how many people, like our group was bigger than any other group at school, our connection of friends. It was awesome. And that all came, not just by me, but my friends were doing this as well, came from forcing ourselves to do things we wouldn't feel comfortable doing. Doing things outside our comfort zone. Because we all have our own comfort zones. We all have these little bubbles that we want to stay in and be invisible in and hope no one notices us, because we don't want to stand out and have other people laugh at us or, that sort of thing. We worry about what other people think about us. But here's the thing, like, the more I started to just be myself, the less I started to care about what people thought of me. And the more people liked me. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
The more I stopped worrying about what people thought of me, the more people wanted to be around me because they thought of me about good things about me. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted people to think good about me, so I would suppress myself. But then when I stopped suppressing myself, all of a sudden everybody liked me. It seems really weird, but that's because when you stop worrying about yourself so much, you can actually open up and worry about others a lot better. When you stop focusing on whether people like you or not, you can let the people that would actually like who you are come approach you because they see you're putting yourself on display, and people can actually then come to like you, because otherwise they don't even know who you are. You're just hiding everything. Mm-hmm. So how do you get over that? How do you transition from one side to another? You start doing things in public that you would feel really uncomfortable doing. And that's what I did. I went to school after I had decided this for myself. I was like, okay, I have a hero, and that hero is this online character named Black Static. That's where Black Static and Sword comes from. So I had made a character online. His name was Black Static. Everybody loved him. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. And so how do I become him? Well, I'm going to pretend that I'm him in real life. Mm-hmm. So I went to school and I said, I'm just going to take one step today. I'm going to try to talk to somebody and sit down, because this person online, he would walk up to somebody, sit down next to him and strike up a conversation, usually with a compliment or something. Or, hey, you're new here. How'd you get here? How'd you find yourself? Whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. So I was in band. I saw a person sitting by themselves, putting together an instrument. And I went to the seat next to them and sat down to this stranger or person who kind of knew me, but like probably never really thought about me much, or if they did, maybe it was bad rumors, who knows? Mm-hmm. But I sat down next to them and I said, hey, I just started talking to them, and it was awkward, but I did it. And they didn't hate me. They thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting. I had a good conversation for like 2 minutes or less. And that was that. But I forced myself to do something really uncomfortable, and I figured out I got through it just fine. I'm still alive, and I'm better for it. It wasn't that big of a deal. And then, what's funny is that same day, later on, a joke popped up in my head. Someone said something. A teacher said something, and I thought something in my head, and I was like, that would be funny to say. No, I'm not going to say it, though. Wait, I'm going to say it. Black Static would say it. I'm going to say it. And so it was delayed, but I said it. I said the response that would be funny. And everybody in the class started laughing. They thought I was funny. And they thought, like, of all people, Ryan just said that? That's hilarious. Like, he never says anything. Right? So everyone was laughing. It was great. I don't even remember what it was. But I remember everybody's response. And that I was like, oh my gosh, this is working. Like, I'm pretending to be this guy, but I'm transforming myself into this person. And over the course of a year, I kept on doing that. And I had to force myself to do that. But at some point, I no longer needed to force myself. It just became natural. At some point, it was easy to do those things. It became easy to sit down and talk to somebody I'd never talked to before because I had done it multiple times before and it was okay, you know? Um, and so, how do you stop suppressing yourself? You have to train yourself. It's something you have to create new habits for. But the only way to train yourself in this category is to do the things that you're uncomfortable doing and just letting it out there, letting yourself say your thoughts out loud, letting yourself share your emotions with other people, share your desires with other people, allowing yourself to do that when you say, I shouldn't do that. And getting over those fears, because that will help hopefully drive you in a direction that you won't be thinking so much about what other people think of you, because it doesn't matter what other people think of you. Their opinions are their choices, their opinions. It doesn't change who you are. And who you are is the only thing you can determine, the only thing you can decide. So their opinions don't change that. Their opinions don't really matter. It's none of your business what they think of you, is what Robert Kiyosaki said. Their opinions of me are not my business.
That's right.
Because you don't have control over that. You have some control, but not complete control. Some people are going to hate you no matter what. Some people are going to hate you just because you seem like a cool person. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. So if you want to, anyways, I think you get everything I'm saying, and I'm going to let Joe take it from here.
I was just enjoying your story, man.
I've told it so many times in many different ways, so
I love it.
Parts of it.
I love it. I do have to mention this because Ryan talked about that and letting himself go and letting himself out there, and that's so important. Embrace the awkward. Yes.
I love that.
I will say this one thing Ryan had going for him at the time when he was kind of coming out of his shell and doing that kind of stuff. He had a pretty good grasp of virtue, of living his life with virtue, and of living kind of by the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, stuff like that. Because from that, you can go and act however you want to act, and it's not going to be offensive. It's not going to be hurtful to other people. It's not going to cause problems. When I did something kind of similar when I was in high school, where I finally just let loose and was like, I don't care what people think of me. I'm just going to act whatever. But I did not have a grasp of virtue. So I never got to the point where I was physically violent, but I was verbally violent and offensive. And I would hurt people with words. I would hurt people a lot, and that type of activity didn't do me any good. It didn't do me any good, and it didn't do anybody else around me any good either. So undergird whatever's going on with a desire for virtue, with a desire to live, live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you can keep that in mind and live that way, with a love for the people around you, then that lends itself to absolute freedom to do whatever you want out there, because you're not going to offend, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. So that's step one. I will say this, because you said to stop self-suppression, thoughts, feelings, emotions, wants, desires, etc. I know in my particular case, there are a lot of desires, wants, and emotions that don't serve me well. They may be disordered. What's that?
I'm very glad you're touching on this, because there are suppressions that are very important to have.
however, I don't want to say you should suppress it. However, there's a difference between just saying, oh, I have this feeling, it's a bad feeling, I'm just gonna, shove it down there and not give it any light, blah 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 blah. One thing I've found that can be very effective is to say, oh, I have this desire, I really want to punch this person in the face, right? That desire is not going to lead to anything good. It's going to lead to bad things, right? But I didn't suppress it. I acknowledged the fact that I had the desire. So I said, oh, I have this desire, I want to punch this person in the face. That would be the wrong thing to do. So I kind of had this little mental thing going on. And you remember we were talking about what we were talking about with Akil about, ready, fire, aim. This is a good time to take a moment and think about what you're going to do. Don't make a rash action. Make a plan. So, and that's why it helps to cultivate a life of virtue. So that way these thoughts and feelings will be less and less and less and less. But if you have a feeling, if you have something and you're like, okay, should I do this or should I act this out? Maybe it's going to hurt people around you. Maybe it's not good for you. Maybe it's not good for anybody around you. And so the best thing for you to do is to not do the thing you feel like doing, because it's going to hurt somebody. In that case, I acknowledge the feeling, okay, but I'm not going to do that. And I'll say, I really feel like doing this, but I'm not going to do that because that would hurt people around me and that would just make things a lot worse. And I kind of say that to myself. I say, that's just going to make things a lot worse. If I do that, it's going to make things a lot worse. And so then I haven't suppressed the feeling because I acknowledged the fact that I had the feeling and I accepted myself for having the feeling. I didn't beat myself up because I felt that way. I just said, oh, I feel this way right now. Well, that feeling, if I did that, it's going to cause a lot more problems. So I am going to choose to not do it. I allowed myself the freedom to have the feeling, but then I also gave myself the freedom to choose whether or not to act on that feeling. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So with your thoughts, desires, and feelings, I never, ever, ever want to tell anybody, well, that's a bad thought to have. That's a bad feeling to have. You shouldn't have feelings like that. You shouldn't have thoughts like that. Because they're your thoughts and your feelings. You can't always control them. Sometimes they come into your head and your heart and you don't know where they come from. They just pop up and they're there. But once they're there, you have a choice on how to respond to that coming into your head and into your heart. You can choose to act on it. In which case, when I was in high school, what I would do, I would be mad at somebody. And so I would just go get up in their face and yell at them. I didn't care if it was a student. I didn't care if it was a teacher. I didn't care if it was a vice principal. I did not care. I would just belligerently yell at people. This is crazy. I can remember being like inches away from my history teacher's face, like yelling at him because of the grade he gave me compared to another person's grade. And I looked at, the results of our project and I was just, like, and that was the wrong thing to do.
By the way, if I might interject, Haley said, I think I started the self-suppression because I started telling myself that I'm not important, and to focus only on others and helping them. I think I started my self-suppression because I started telling myself that I'm not important and to only focus on others and helping them. I started refusing to express myself.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure I got it across correctly.
No, thank you. Thank you for that, because the chat's moving, so I might have missed it.
Yeah.
So
But
thank
no,
you.
that's a interesting point. And
No, and that can absolutely happen. I know people I know mothers who get so wrapped up into being a mom that their kids become their top priority, and they're always doing stuff for their kids, for their kids, for their kids, for their kids, and they never take the time to take care of their own basic needs. So that makes them less effective at being a mom because they're not propping themselves up enough, if that makes sense. They're not taking care of their own basic needs, and what it does is it takes away from how good they are at being a mom. So it actually sets them backwards in their goal. And Ryan talked about the Thanksgiving dinner, the stressed out. This was the other topic, wasn't it? This was
yeah, the last topic we did.
Yeah, I know. Also, I've gotten caught in the trap sometimes when maybe I'm getting my kids lunch or getting them dinner or something like that. And so I'll fix them their food. I'll figure out what they want, and then I'll fix them their food, and then I'll give them their food, and then I'll go and start getting my food. Because and I have this thought in my head where it's like, okay, I want them to come first. I put my kids first, so I'm going to get them their food first, and then I'll take care of my own needs. Right? And it seems noble at the outset. But what always happens? I'll tell you what always happens. I get them their food, I hand them their food, and they eat it while I'm getting my food. And then when they get done with their food, they want something else that I then have to get. And then I don't have time to eat my food. And then it turns into this cycle because we're not on the same schedule.
Yeah.
Like they eat, and then when they get done eating, my food's ready. And so I'm about to eat, and they're like, oh, I need this now. And then what happens is I don't get to eat, so I'm hungry. So that comes across in my attitude. You know, I'm not as good of a dad because I'm hungry and I haven't taken care of those basic needs. So what I learned was, all right, here's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to get figured out what they want, and I'm going to figure out what I want while at the same time, and I'm going to fix it all at the same time, and we're going to eat together. And that way we're going to have that time spent eating together, which is way better. I mean, that actually is, I think, more putting my kids first, because not only am I feeding them food, but I'm spending that time with them, where that's time we wouldn't have had. If I was busy getting my food while they're eating, we wouldn't have had that time to bond while we eat together. If that makes sense.
It's a good example.
Yeah. So really, it can be. It's always noble to put others first. It's definitely a good thing to think of others and to make sure we're putting them at the forefront. But at the same time, if we neglect ourselves to the point where it weakens us or we're not taking care of our basic needs, then we actually don't do as good of a job for those people. So our goal, we're not as good at it anymore. So in order to be the best at serving other people, in your case now, acknowledge your thoughts, acknowledge your feelings, think through them. Do not judge yourself for having these feelings, but take a realistic look at the feelings, and then you can try and sort them out. You can bring them to Don't Worry Wednesday. We'd be happy to try and, offer some perspective. Whatever we can do to help. There's a lot of resources out there for stuff like that as well. There's books. Sometimes you can talk to a counselor if you're just getting overwhelmed. Sometimes it just takes talking to somebody out loud. And if you have a school counselor, sometimes that's very helpful. I know there's lots of school counselors out there now. And there's never any shame in that. Sometimes we just need a person to talk to so we can just get some of this stuff out. And one thing that always helps me, always, when I have a tough time and I've got a whole bunch of pent up frustration and feelings of just, and I feel like I can't do any of these things. I can't punch this person in the face type of thing, right? I exercise. I take some time and I exercise. I will, even if it's just doing 20 jumping jacks or 50 jumping jacks or stretching. Stretching is one of the best things you can do. If depending, because sometimes you can't start a huge workout routine where you're going to just absolutely kill yourself because you we always start not in very good shape, and it takes some time to get in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
But stretching is so helpful. That's one reason why people say yoga is so helpful with peace and stuff like that. But just the basic stretching can help so much if you just have a whole bunch of pent up feelings and emotions that need to get released. If you do something physically, it can really go a long way to relieve those and smooth them out and help you think clearly. So then you can start to sort through your emotions and your feelings, and you can start deciding how you want to handle them. But that deciding how you're going to handle your feelings and then handling them is much different than suppressing them. Rather than just shoving them down and not giving them the light of day. Instead, you're acknowledging them and accepting the fact that you have those feelings, and then handling them properly. Think through, okay, if I did this, what's the likely thing that's going to happen? And then go through it with that, and then you can decide what to do. So, yeah, I wanted to make sure, undergird all that with living a life of virtue and a life of goodness and love for others, like you already do, Haley.
Mm-hmm.
You already want to help people. You already have a heart for other people. Cultivate that and think of them, but then also put yourself in the same position as they are and understand that if you're not operating at your best, you're not going to be as good for the people you want to help.
Yep.
So treat yourself well in order to treat others well as well. And that's a lot of the word well. But,
well then.
Well now, so I'm going to turn it to Ryan. Well.
All right. Well, I do have, some more things. Hopefully do you well. I thought of, as Joe was saying, just ask yourself, who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? Go be that person. Just do it. Be that person. Just be that person. And you'll go a long way. Again, Joe, I think it's great that you touched on, suppression is, even when you have bad thoughts, you don't necessarily want to suppress them. It's better to learn about that bad thought and hate it than suppress it, because suppress it will probably come back later. But if you realize, okay, this is wrong because of this, this, and this, and I don't even like those things. So then it changes your view of that, and then it's less likely to come back.
Yes, the point of that is to make sure that we all understand we don't have to act on our feelings,
right,
in order to not suppress them.
Right, that's true. And the one last thing, again, that you talked on, is
why's everybody clapping for me?
Because they love you.
Oh, you guys are awesome. I was like,
yeah, they're awesome.
Anyway, sorry.
So the last thing I would say is, remember that there is, okay, I've got two things: the word charity and the word humility. Okay, so you guys know what selfishness is? That's bad. You don't want to be selfish, right? Right, Haley? You don't want to be selfish, and that's not what you're being. And then you know that they're selfless. That's bad. You don't want to be selfless. You've probably never heard that before. Or if you've heard it from me. You don't want to be selfish, and you don't want to be selfless. Both of those are bad things. If you went to a psychiatrist or psychologist, not psychiatrist, If you went to a psychologist, they have a term, selfless. It's not a good thing. What you want to be is charitable. Because if you are selfish, the only thing you care about is you, and you just want everybody to please you and to please yourself, that's not good. It's not even good for it's not even good for you. You want the best for you, but you can't give that to yourself when you're in that kind of thought process.
Mm-hmm.
You can be selfless, where you don't care about yourself, where your focus is on other people, but you're not taking care of yourself, and you think even possibly bad about yourself, bad thoughts. That's not something you want to have either, because your value in this world is extremely important. So the third thing, which is what you want to be, is charitable. Charity is when you give to others from your wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Charity is when you give your gifts to other people, right? But in order to have self wealth, you need to acquire that. And the only way to acquire that is not by being selfish. No, not by being selfless. No, charity is the giving of that. You acquire it through helping yourself and helping others.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do both. And the more you do both, the more charitable you can become. And then the last thing I want to say is humility. A lot of people think of humility as putting others before you, and that's not true. It goes along the same lines. Humility is the proper understanding of value, of human value. Humility is the proper understanding and acting out of your own value versus the value of everything else in the world. So it's humble for me to realize that I am worth more than a screwdriver and to act that out and to do the same for others around me. It's also humble for me to treat myself the same way as I treat others. If I put myself below others, that could be seen as humble in certain circumstances. But in truth, you aren't supposed to put yourself below people. You can put yourself below God, for example, but you can't put yourself below other people in terms of value and respect, because you are the same value. If you lay down your life for them, that's not putting yourself below them. That's taking something and realizing that you have an equal value, and you're choosing to do something good with your value. It's slightly different than I'm not as good, or I will never be as good as this person. That's not humility. That's self-disrespect. Humility is saying, I am as good as this person, and I want to take my life and lift them up with it. See, there's a difference there. So just remember that as you go forward, because that'll help you figure out what's right and wrong in the area. If you look at this situation and you notice yourself putting yourself second place, or putting yourself below another person, I should say, then you know that that's not quite right. If you're being selfless, that's not quite right. If you're being charitable, now you've hit the right spot. If you're being humble, if you're understanding the value of each person, then you're in the right spot. You're in the right place, and you can do good for others. So, yeah, there you are.
That was very well said. Yeah. I love that. Science Rocks quoted you. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfless. Be charitable. I love that. That's the quote of the day.
Aw. Thanks, Science.
Yep. So thank you, Haley. Hopefully some of that helped. And don't ever be afraid to reach out. Don't ever be afraid to reach out to us or to a counselor if you have someone you can talk to at school or anything like that. Because there's one thing to type it out and have a chat on Discord or on a website or something, but there's a totally other dimension when you actually get to talk and just like kind of vent these things out to somebody in person. That can be so super helpful. And I know there's a whole lot of craziness going on around you in your life right now, Haley. And it's going to be really easy for you to bottle up some of these feelings. And I would encourage you to, take some of what we said to heart, and rather than suppress your feelings, acknowledge your feelings and be charitable.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys. I think that about wraps it up. So we appreciate you joining us here for this Friday edition of Don't Worry Wednesday. And we hope to have you again and see you again next Wednesday. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all your cooperation in the chat. I love that.
And all the clapping. You guys are very clappy.
Clappy. You guys are a clappy crew.
Clappy crew today.
Yes. A crew of clapping clappers.
Yes, with much love and acceptance and cross-culturally accepting of others, which is exactly what we want to have.
Yeah, it's awesome. You guys are from many different places here, and yet love proceeds. Love that proceeds, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It's awesome. You guys are amazing, and we love you guys. Anyhow, yeah, that's it.
This is D1.
That D is still one. You know D1.
You do. Yes. Yeah. Haley, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for that question.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot we can go into on that, and hopefully it was helpful. So thank you guys.
Yeah, Haley, we wish you the best. I'm sure you'll succeed at that. You're an amazing person, and you're growing each day. So, and you know, you're growing even though you don't realize it. Not every day do you realize that you're improving, but it's just little bit by little bit, and I think you're doing a great job, Haley. So just keep it up, keep being amazing. Yeah. Anyhow, thanks everyone. Bye. We love you.
Bye. I love you.